Hello young friends, this video is being brought to you by Rao Scientific Society. So the series of videos which we are going to show you will help you to understand the fundamental scientific principles which you see around you, and it will help you to develop friendship with science. Hello friends, and this one what I have here is called a Keppel Pendulum. Now all of you are familiar with just a pendulum, maybe a simple pendulum. Now what is a simple pendulum? Usually a simple pendulum consists of a very light string, and at the end of the string you suspend a heavy mass. So that's exactly what we have here, but the difference is I have two such pendulums, but in addition there is a string in between which connects or couples both the pendulums. Now let's study the motion of this couple pendulum. For a simple pendulum, you all know the answer. If I displace one of them, if I displace this, it is going to oscillate back and forth. But what happens in this case? Now watch carefully what is going to happen next. When I displace one of these masses and then release it, it oscillates back and forth, but watch what happens after some time. It actually comes to a stop, and precisely at that moment the other pendulum is oscillating with maximum amplitude, and after some time this comes to a stop and that is oscillating. So what is happening here is that the energy which was initially in one pendulum is transferred to the other pendulum by the string. So energy flows from one pendulum to the other and back again. So this is what is a couple pendulum. Now you might ask, why should I worry about this couple pendulum? The answer is that many things in nature are coupled, that is, one part of the system is connected to another part of the system. For example, if you take a solid, it consists of many atoms, all of which are connected by bonds, and if I displace one atom, that is going to disturb the other atoms via the bond. So studying this simple system of a couple pendulum can help you to understand more complicated systems, for example oscillations within a solid. Or you can think of a complicated machinery with many parts. If one part of the system vibrates, then that vibration is conveyed to other parts of the system and they also start vibrating. So in this couple pendulum there are other ways in which you can disturb the system. I just disturb one pendulum. Now what happens if I displace both pendulums together? Let's see what happens. Now here if you see, both pendulums are oscillating with almost equal amplitude. What I did was I displaced both pendulums by almost equal amount in the same direction. So this is one way in which the pendulum can oscillate. And yet another way is, suppose I displace them in opposite directions and then I release them. So they are what are called out of phase. They are going in opposite directions relative to each other, and this is yet another type of motion. So a couple pendulum is more complicated than a simple pendulum in the sense that I can disturb them in a variety of ways. Now all those different ways in which you can vibrate or disturb a couple pendulum can be thought of as a combination of these two fundamental modes. What are those fundamental modes? One is if I displace both pendulums in the same direction, and the other is when I displace them in opposite directions. Anything else I do can be thought of as a combination of these two. For instance, if I displace only one pendulum, initially this is not oscillating, but after some time this is oscillating. So this can be thought of as a combination of those two fundamental modes which I described earlier. Now I leave it to you to figure out how I can think of this displacement as a combination of those two fundamental modes. So that's it from now. This is the couple pendulum, but I think you have to experiment with it on your own to understand completely whatever goes on over here. Thank you.